Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is really great to have you sitting right here at the table with us again.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. And before we unpack this totally fascinating story today, if you love exploring the bleeding edge of technology and want to support what we do,
which we hope you do.
Exactly. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button on this video, and leave a comment below. It really helps us out and ensures you never miss these conversations.
It makes a huge difference.
It really does. Okay, so let's unpack this.
Okay.
I want you to just imagine a scenario for a second.
Okay, paint the picture.
You are driving home from a long road trip. You are behind the wheel of this gorgeous, futuristic crossover vehicle.
Sounds nice so far.
Right. But you pull up to the single alternative fuel station within a 50-mile radius, and you are basically running on empty.
Stressful.
Very.
Yeah.
So you get out, you plug in this heavy industrial dispensing nozzle into the car, you hear a satisfying mechanical clunk, and you wait.
Just a standard fill-up.
You'd think. But as the minutes tick by, you watch the pump screen just completely freeze up.
Literally freeze.
Literally. The metallic nozzle becomes encased in solid ice, and you suddenly realize you were mechanically trapped at the station. Your car is locked to the pump.
I mean, it sounds like a scene out of a dystopian science fiction novel.
It really does.
But what's fascinating here, and honestly a bit terrifying, is that this specific, highly stressful scenario isn't fiction at all.
No, it's not.
This is the everyday reality of living with a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle right now, particularly models like the Hyundai Nexo.
And that is exactly our mission for today's deep dive. We are going to explore the brilliant science behind hydrogen passenger vehicles.
Because the science is incredible.
It is, but we also need to confront the harsh reality of actually owning one of these things. Because on paper, I am just completely amazed by this concept.
It has that wow factor.
It really does. The core engineering feels like, I don't know, science fair magic come to life.
It is a remarkable piece of engineering, I'll give you that. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the real-world logistics of operating this type of vehicle, it will test the patience of even the most dedicated early adopters. The gap between the theoretical brilliance of the laboratory and the practical reality of the highway is just massive.
Okay, let's start with that theoretical brilliance, because the vision is honestly beautiful.
It is an elegant idea.
You are taking pressurized hydrogen gas and combining it with ambient oxygen that the car just breathes in from the outside air.
Right.
And the byproduct leaving the tailpipe is literally just harmless water vapor.
Pure H2O.
You are driving a miniature power plant that breathes in air and hydrogen and breathes out electricity and water. But how does that actually work under the hood?
So that magic happens inside something called a proton exchange membrane.
Okay.
To understand it, imagine a microscopic bouncer at a very exclusive nightclub.
I love this analogy already.
The hydrogen molecules arrive at the door, but this bouncer, which is the membrane, heavily lined with expensive precious metals like platinum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it has a very strict rule. It only lets the protons pass through the door.
So what happens to the electrons? They just get left outside in the cold.
Exactly. The electrons are forced to take a detour around the club to get to the other side.
Ah, I see.
And that detour, that forced movement of electrons, is exactly what creates the electric current that powers the motors and drives the wheels.
That is so cool.
Right. And once they meet back up with the protons and oxygen on the other side, they form water.
That is genuinely brilliant engineering. You completely bypass the combustion engine.
You do.
But you mentioned early adopters getting their patience tested. If the science is that elegant and that clean, where does the friction actually happen for the driver?
Well, the single most glaring issue we need to look at is the failure of the main fuel cell stack itself.
The nightclub bouncer.
Exactly. That membrane we just talked about is the beating heart of the vehicle, and it is incredibly fragile. Fragile how?
It is highly sensitive to microscopic impurities in either the air intake or the hydrogen fuel supply.
But surely the engineers thought of that, right? Don't these cars have massive air filter?
They do. There is an entire array of heavy-duty, high-efficiency particulate air filters mounted right behind the front grille.
So that should solve it.
You would think. But over time, despite all that heavy filtration, the delicate catalyst layers inside those hundreds of individual fuel cells naturally begin to degrade.
Just from normal driving.
Yes. Microscopic impurities eventually slip through and they start damaging that delicate platinum lining.
Oh man, so what does the driver actually experience when this degradation starts happening? Do you just wake up one morning and the car refuses to turn on?
No, it's usually a slow, agonizing decline. Owners start to notice a gradual drop in acceleration.
Like the car's just getting sluggish.
Exactly. You press the pedal and that futuristic instant EV thrust just isn't there anymore.
That sounds frustrating. It is. And worse, this is usually accompanied by a severe, unexplainable reduction in your driving range.
So you think you can make it a certain distance based on what the dashboard says?
But the car simply cannot deliver the power efficiently anymore, so the range drops dramatically.
That sounds incredibly stressful, especially considering how sparse the hydrogen fueling stations already are.
It gets worse.
Of course it does. What happens when the system actually hits its breaking point?
That brings us to the meltdown phase, when the onboard diagnostic computers detect that the internal stack voltage is dropping below acceptable safety threshold.
The car knows it's dying.
Right. And your digital gauge cluster lights up like a holiday tree. It blasts you with warning messages commanding you to check the fuel cell system immediately.
So you were just driving along, maybe on your commute, and suddenly the dashboard is screaming at you. Does the car just stop dead in the road?
Not dead, but the vehicle instantly goes into a restricted safety limp mode.
Limp mode?
Yeah, it forcibly cuts your speed down to a maximum of 30 miles per hour.
30 on the highway.
Imagine being on a busy interstate. Traffic is flying past you at 70 or 80 miles per hour, and your advanced, futuristic crossover leaves you crawling dangerously along.
Powerless to accelerate. That is a massive safety hazard.
It absolutely is.
Now let's talk about the financial side of this, because I imagine fixing the beating heart of a highly experimental hydrogen car is not exactly like changing the alternator on a standard sedan.
Not even close. Replacing this high-voltage fuel cell stack out of pocket.
Assuming your factory powertrain warranty has expired.
Right. Once that warranty is gone, it costs an astronomical amount of money.
Like how much are we talking?
We are talking about a repair bill that easily rivals the total purchase price of a brand new economy car.
You have got to be kidding me.
I wish I was. The financial knife hanging over your head the minute that warranty ends is immense.
It's basically a ticking time bomb for your bank account.
Exactly.
But even before you reach the point of a complete stack meltdown, just keeping the car running day to day seems incredibly demanding.
The maintenance is brutal.
I know standard battery electric vehicles have thermal management systems to keep their battery packs cool. What makes the hydrogen cooling system so uniquely difficult?
Well, according to the data I have, the real burden comes down to the conductivity of the fluids.
The conductivity?
Yes. Generating all that electricity on board creates a tremendous amount of heat, so you need a very robust thermal management system.
Makes sense.
But unlike a traditional internal combustion engine that uses a simple mechanical water pump and cheap green antifreeze from your local auto parts store.
Right, the stuff you buy for $10 a jug.
Exactly. This powertrain requires a highly specific, ultra-low electrical conductivity.
Because the fuel cell is generating high voltage electricity right there.
You got it. If the coolant conducts electricity, the current would travel right through the fluid itself.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster. What happens if someone messes that up?
If an untrained mechanic, or even just a well-meaning owner, accidentally tops off the reservoir with standard radiator fluid,
which people do all the time with normal cars,
the results are catastrophic. The ions in standard coolant will conduct the current, instantly short-circuiting the entire high-voltage architecture.
Wow.
You will literally destroy the car just by adding standard antifreeze.
Okay, so the car is essentially a diva.
A total diva.
It would rather self-destruct than drink tap water. It demands only the finest artisan, low-conductivity coolant.
That is a brilliant analogy, and that diva-like coolant breaks down naturally over time, too.
So it's not a fill-it-and-forget-it situation.
Nope. It must be completely flushed, purged, and replaced roughly every 40,000 miles.
And I'm guessing that is not cheap.
It is a very expensive, highly specialized, scheduled maintenance step.
But what if a driver just pushes it a little further? Say money is tight 1 month, so they decide to ignore the 40,000-mile flush for a few weeks. Does the car just run a little hot?
The car won't let you do that.
What do you mean?
If you ignore this maintenance schedule, internal conductivity sensors detect the chemical change in the fluid as it starts to degrade. Okay?
And to prevent an electrical fire, the computer will intentionally shut the vehicle down permanently until the service is performed.
It just breaks itself to save your life.
It absolutely does. And the maintenance woes continue from there.
There's more?
Oh, yeah. The electric water pump used to circulate this highly expensive fluid is notorious for early bearing failure.
Perfect.
And right before it seizes up and leaves you stranded, it starts emitting this agonizing, high-pitched whining noise from under the hood.
So you have a diva car that literally screams at you right before it dies. Fantastic.
It's a very dramatic vehicle.
Let's pivot slightly to the physical design of the car. because hiding all of this complex technology has to require some serious compromises.
Huge compromise.
Where you even put the hydrogen.
That brings us to the weight distribution and cargo issues. Hydrogen is the smallest, lightest element in the universe.
Right.
So to carry enough of it to actually drive a meaningful distance, it has to be compressed to extreme pressures and stored in massive, heavily armored carbon fiber cylindrical tanks. 3 of them.
Yes. 3 separate tanks.
And I assume those tanks take up a lot of real estate.
They absolutely do. Because these massive cylinders have to go somewhere safe, they are hidden under the rear passenger seats and the cargo floor.
Which means less room for your stuff.
Exactly. The rear cargo floor is raised significantly higher than in a standard gas-powered crossover. It really cuts down on your practical luggage capacity for family road trips.
So it's an SUV that can't hold much luggage. And what does that do to the drive itself?
It makes it weird.
I mean, you've got a heavy battery pack up front for the regenerative braking, the dense fuel cell stacks stuffed under the hood, and then these unyielding, heavily armored carbon fiber tanks sitting way out back.
It creates a very awkward pendulum-like handling dynamic.
Pendulum-like?
Yeah. The suspension system really struggles to cope with this strange, unbalanced weight distribution.
Oh, I can imagine.
You feel it constantly. Whenever you take a highway off-ramp just a little too fast, you can feel the rear end wanting to swing out on you.
It's because of all that mass in the back.
Exactly. Furthermore, the rear shock absorbers tend to wear out and leak fluid incredibly fast.
Because they're working overtime.
Yes, they're constantly supporting the unyielding dead weight of those 10,000 psi pressurized tanks over rough city potholes. It just beats the suspension to death.
Okay, before we talk about the absolute nightmare that is the actual fueling station experience, just a quick reminder for you listening.
Yes, please.
If you were finding this teardown fascinating and maybe a little terrifying, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and drop a comment below.
It really means the world to us and helps keep these deep dives coming.
It truly does. All right, let's talk about the physical fueling experience. This has to be one of the wildest parts of the entire ownership journey.
It is universally considered the most agonizing part of driving this specific vehicle.
I am just marveling at the sheer pressure we're talking about here. Those 3 carbon fiber tanks hold the hydrogen at 10,000 pounds per square inch.
10,000 psi.
That is a staggering amount of force.
It is. And that extreme pressure is exactly where the basic laws of thermodynamics step in to ruin your day.
How so?
When you transfer any gas at that extreme pressure, the physical components get cold, fast.
Right, expanding gas cools down rapidly, so the fueling stations have to somehow manage that massive temperature shift.
Yes, commercial fueling stations must physically pre-chill the hydrogen gas down to near sub-zero temperatures before pumping it into your vehicle.
Wait, they chill the gas before pumping?
They have to. If they didn't, the onboard carbon fiber tanks would dangerously overheat as they rapidly expand and fill up under that pressure.
So you're pumping sub-zero gas into the car at 10,000 psi.
Exactly.
This leads directly to that freezing scenario we discussed at the very beginning of the deep dive.
It does. Because of this massive and sudden temperature drop at the connection point, ambient atmospheric moisture in the air instantly condenses.
And turns to ice.
Yes. It freezes solid around the metallic fueling nozzle and your car's exterior receptacle.
So you're just stuck.
It is a totally common occurrence for owners to finish their quick 5-minute fill-up only to realize the heavy pump nozzle is frozen and mechanically locked onto the car.
And you cannot just rip it off or detach it without breaking the internal pins.
Yeah.
Right? You are just trapped there.
You are forced to stand outside. Whether you are in freezing winter wind or blistering summer heat, you are awkwardly waiting 10 to 20 minutes for the heavy metal components to naturally thaw out enough to safely release the locking mechanism.
I was actually reading that some desperate drivers resort to pouring hot cups of coffee or warm water directly over the high-pressure nozzle just to get unhooked.
It's true.
Imagine holding your morning latte, you're late for an important meeting, and you have to pour your expensive coffee over a sub-zero gas pump just to free your car so you can get to work.
It completely defeats the entire purpose of a fast refueling experience.
It really does.
And we cannot gloss over the fragile and underdeveloped fueling infrastructure itself.
Right, because finding a station is hard enough in the first place, but finding one that actually works is a whole different game entirely.
The specialized hydrogen stations are notoriously unreliable.
Why are they so bad?
They often drop offline for days or even weeks at a time. It could be due to global supply chain shortages for the fuel, frozen compressor units at the station, or just basic software glitches.
So you diligently check your smartphone app, you see that the local station is online, you drive 20 miles out of your daily commute route with your dashboard range estimator blinking on empty.
And you arrive only to find a handwritten out-of-order sign taped over the pump screen.
That is soul-crushing.
This unpredictable situation creates an unparalleled level of range anxiety that modern battery electric vehicle owners simply do not experience anymore.
Because an EV owner can always just plug their car into a standard wall outlet in their garage overnight. If they're desperate, they wake up full.
Exactly.
With this fuel cell vehicle, you obviously can't do that at all.
You can't. And if you run out of fuel on the highway, you cannot just call a roadside tow truck to bring you a plastic gas can or a portable battery charger.
Right, what do?
You have to get the entire vehicle hoisted onto a flatbed tow truck and dragged to the nearest fully functioning commercial station.
Which might be far away.
Depending on where you live, that could easily be in a totally different county.
It sounds like a logistical tightrope walk every single day. And the communication between the pump and the car is surprisingly delicate too, isn't it?
It is a fatal flaw in everyday usability.
Tell me about it.
There is a highly sensitive infrared data communication sensor located right next to the fuel receptacle on the car.
Okay.
Its job is to talk wirelessly to the commercial fueling pump to instantly relay your tank pressure and internal temperature safety.
Makes total sense. Yeah. You want the pump to know what's happening inside the tank. But what happens if it gets dirty? We are talking about cars driving in real-world conditions here.
It is incredibly susceptible to moisture damage and road salt corrosion. If that tiny exposed sensor fails internally, or honestly simply gets too dirty from driving in the rain, the station pump will abort the entire fueling process.
It just refuses.
For safety reasons, it will refuse to dispense a single drop of hydrogen no matter how many times you swipe your credit card.
A smudge of road salt can literally leave you stranded at the pump. That is unbelievable.
It's the reality of the tech right now.
Okay, as we start wrapping up this deep dive, I want to bring up one final, completely bizarre, everyday quirk that really encapsulates the weirdness of living with this technology.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
It's the automated water purge sequence.
Yes, the infamous garage puddle.
Remember earlier when we said the only physical byproduct of this entire chemical reaction is pure hot water?
Right.
Well, the car has a specific automated sequence to get rid of it. When you park the car safely in your garage, turn off the ignition and walk away, the car wakes up.
It has a mind of its own.
You will hear a series of mechanical clicks, electric whirs, and then suddenly a massive rush of pure hot water dumps straight onto your concrete floor from a hidden exhaust tube underneath the rear bumper.
Which completely terrifies new owners.
Exactly. It leaves this massive, mysterious puddle in the garage. New owners naturally freak out, assuming their expensive, highly complex vehicle is leaking vital engine coolants or brake fluids.
Even though it is just harmless distilled water.
Right.
But there is a real danger here depending on your climate.
The freezing.
Yes. In cold winter climates, this rapidly purged hot water immediately freezes. It turns into a slick, highly dangerous ice patch right in the middle of your driveway or garage.
That is awful.
It creates a serious slip and fall hazard for you and your family every single.
Your incredibly advanced, futuristic car is silently trying to assassinate you in your own driveway with a sheet of ice. Amazing.
It's a design quirk, to say the least.
If we pull back and summarize everything we've unpacked today, the conclusion is pretty stark.
It really is. The core science is beautiful, brilliant engineering, but all of these intricate sensors, the specialized dielectric fluids, the massive pressurized fuel systems, and the heavy reliance on a fragile, underdeveloped commercial fueling network.
It adds up.
It makes this vehicle a highly stressful, risky, long-term financial proposition the second that safety net of the manufacturer warranty expires.
It really is a double-edged sword. Genuine, world-changing technology on one side and the exhausting reality of beta testing it on the other.
A very expensive beta test.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. As always, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and drop a comment to let us know your thoughts.
We read all of them.
We do. And before we go, we want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over.
Lay it on them.
We've spent this entire time talking with the friction of putting hydrogen into everyday passenger cars driven by everyday people. But when we look at the desperate push for clean alternative energy, at what point does the burden of beta testing this fragile experimental technology become too much for the average consumer to bear on their own shoulders?
That is the million-dollar question. Is the true destiny of hydrogen fuel cells actually meant for heavy-duty commercial trucking or aviation, where centralized hubs and professional fleet mechanics handle all the fueling and maintenance behind closed doors?
It makes you wonder if we're just forcing the wrong solution onto the average driveway.
A critical question for the future of clean transportation.
Absolutely. See you next time.